Yeah,
Nice.
send me the link and I'll
Yep.
tweet it out.
Escape. Tac. Tac. And we are live.
Nice one.
Wonderful. Let me share it too.
Okay, done.
Wonderful. Tac. Okay. I think let's do it. Boom. Nice. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so Headsauce, thank you so much for joining me on this first live. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much. You will be the first guest on the channel forever, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's an honor, man. It's you don't always get a chance to be someone's first, so
Yeah.
happy to take that honor.
Yeah, making history, man. That's cool. First, I can to introduce it because to your audience and the viewers that gonna join us on this live. But are you aware of the Decod3rs channel and what we're trying to achieve here?
Yeah, vaguely. I mean, we've spoken back and forth via DMs, and I know that you guys are building something around a content creation machine of sorts, and then you're trying to monetize the content on YouTube and other platforms, and then I think share the rev from that with the holders of your NFT.
Exactly. I can say it better than that, man. You pitch it for me. That's perfect. You should come back next week.
I'm always interested in talking to people that are kind of building interesting things, right? So firstly, people that are still here, in this time when there's a lot of people have left, and then people that are trying to, people are trying to push the envelope a little bit. So that's why I was like, I'll jump on. Let's talk content creation. Let's talk, YouTube and NFTs and whatever. So let's get into it.
Yeah, that's it. And you're the perfect guest for that because you started YouTube Web3 content, crypto content, during the bull market 1 year ago, right? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I started making NFT specific content exactly 1 year ago. It was a year and 2 weeks ago. And I mean, there was several bear markets, so it sort of depends. Bull markets, so it depends on what wave you're talking about. But the end of last year was definitely bullish for Solana specifically, and going into 2022, that's when we saw those all-time highs of the actual token price of Solana, which was $250 or whatever it was, which seems completely insane now.
Good memories, right?
Yeah, we're sitting at $10.60 at the moment. So that was definitely very, very bullish. And that's when I started the 1.5 Solana challenge, which was my most popular piece of content. And it sort of attracted a lot of people. People to this day tell me all the time that was the piece of content that got me onto Solana. That was the piece of content that brought me over to that chain. So it was definitely peak bull at that time. And then since then, obviously, we've sort of been, unfortunately, on a bit of a slow decline over the last 12 months to where we are now. Not all of Solana's fault, obviously. Bad macro conditions and millions of other things, but it is what it is. It's still here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And keep grinding. And no, we are here for the tech and the community, right? Financial gain, who cares, right? It's just money.
Yeah, I mean, if I was here to make money, I probably would have left
Yeah.
a long time ago. I like,
Yeah.
obviously everyone's looking to make a bag in some ways,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
You're not just here for like, completely good vibes. But I think one of the things, oh, hold on, I'm getting some feedback. You got it?
Yeah, that's me. That's me. Sorry.
No, you're right. But I think that, the space is unique, right? Like the NFT
100%.
space and Web3 space and stuff. And there are actually a lot of cool people here. And I don't know anyone in my regular life, my IRL life, that likes NFTs and crypto and anything like that. So I actually just like talking to people in the space, because all my normie friends think I'm weird because I trade JPEG up on the internet.
It's I definitely the same feeling. Like obviously, like like in my family, like and friends, I'm like the only one like trading way too expensive JPEGs. Not expensive anymore, but you know, right? But like because of Christmas, like I still like have faith in the onboarding the normies, because like for example, my sister offered me like the Pharaoh, the Decod one on a T-shirt. So there is hope. There is hope.
Respect. Did you make it?
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, it's cool. I will wear it in the upcoming videos.
My sisters asked me about it, but they don't like. It's people ask you about it, and then you're like, how much do you really want to know? Like, do you actually want me to explain this to you, or are you just asking to be polite? Because if you want to know, I can tell you about it. But sometimes you start explaining it, and you just see like their faces glaze over, and you're like, they don't care, or they don't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're asking you because they're caring about you, right? But like, then the conversation is hard, like to still onboard new people, and like people are not really like connected to the tech and stuff like that, right? Or even people who have a hard time sending an email, for example.
Absolutely. And we are still, I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but we are still early on this side of things.
100%.
And so it's like, it's just how technology works, right? Like you have that segment of early adopters, and then there's the other people that come later. And I think we're still very much in that early adopter phase where, it's still not perfect. There's still a lot of things that are a little bit difficult and confusing. And as it goes on, I believe it'll get better, and it'll get easier for people to understand what's happening here. And, maybe it won't even be that we call them NFTs at some point. It'll just be like there as a back layer. But right now it's really not that way. I actually had a friend of mine, a good friend, who bought the Trump digital trading cards. So he has he doesn't know anything about crypto. He doesn't know anything. He's like a full stocks guy, and he buys gold and silver. So he's like the most opposite kind of, where we're at. He likes hard metals and things. And he bought the Trump cards because you could buy them with a credit card. You didn't even have to buy crypto. It was $99 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he like messaged me. He's like, hey dude, I bought these. Like, how do I sell them? And it was like an absolute mission. I think it was a Saturday that he told me that. By Tuesday, he still hadn't been able to sell them because it was such a mess, wallet creation. And I don't know if you know much about how they did it, but they used Polygon, and they just created like a wallet for you. And you just had to log in with like your email. So you just signed up with an email like you would sign up for anything else. But the cards weren't in the same wallet that he signed up to. So he had to go through like customer support. And then obviously it was on Polygon. So he wanted to like bridge it back to Ethereum and then get it back to his like, mainstream bank account. And it was so confusing for him. He was calling me like every couple hours. And I just thought to myself, we're really not there yet. This guy, he's a techie guy, but he's not like crypto. He couldn't figure it out. He was like, this is just so complicated.
I mean,
50
like,
steps,
I mean, like sometimes I'm telling myself, like, I'm happy that I'm a software engineer, like, so I can understand the tech to then jump more easily into crypto, because I can't even imagine like jumping on like Magic Eden without having any clue about like, again, a ledger, like understanding the basics of Bitcoin functions and features, right?
He ended up selling them, right? He made a nice flip on them. And then he had he had like wrapped Ethereum, like WETH or whatever, and he tried to transfer it to a main Ethereum wallet, and he just lost. Like he ended up losing all the money because you can't send WETH to like a normal ETH address.
Oh my god!
So in the end, after all of that and 4 days of trying to figure it out, he ended up just like stuffing it up, and then that money was just gone. And I was like, you know, if you're a wallet provider like MetaMask, for example, which is what he was using, you should tell someone you cannot send to this wallet. It will not work. You know, why you let people like fail? You should, you know, you should never allow people to fail like through your app. You should give them a warning and say, like, this is not going to work. But this is the thing, right? A lot of this technology has been built by software engineers, no offense, and there's not a lot of like, you know, design and UX thinking behind it.
100%.
And just, you know, boom, sent his money into the ether, and now it's gone. So he's just like, I will never, ever use this again. And now he's completely like checked out.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity, right? Because Trump card or not Trump card, that's a huge like opportunity to have like more exit liquidity on Solana blockchain too, right? Like it onboarding new people in a way, like like you said at the beginning, like it's doing blockchain stuff without saying NFTs or blockchain words and vocabulary, right? Like just want to buy my monkey JPEG with my credit card and see what's up, right?
The buying was easy, but the selling was the tough thing. And I think they need to figure out a way to make the selling just as easy as the buying, you know?
Or is that a Trump move? Just saying, let me just buy it.
We'll figure out how to take your money, and then after that, we don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. We never know. I didn't touch it at all. Like, it's not for me. Not in my investment thesis.
It did have an ethical sort of element to it, right? Because, you know, I think a lot of people thought, oh, this might actually make money, but a lot of people hate Trump so much and disagree with his ethics so much that they're just like, okay, I can't, you know, I'm not going to touch it, even if it's going to be profitable, because it pumped, like, you know, it went up to like 0.8, I think it was, or something like that. And but a lot of people felt, you know,
exactly. I mean, like there is also opportunity to chase, right? And but like okay, so let's go back to like content creation and stuff, like how, like what we want to do in the next year. So do you know exactly like or do you have an idea of like what you want to focus on this new year? Like what's gonna be your good resolution? Like what you're gonna improve on your channel or change, or do you have any idea of that?
Actually, what I like to do at the end of every year is just spend some time like reflecting and going across like different parts of you know, my life, and obviously the YouTube channel and stuff was one part of that. So I spent some time looking at like, you know, what happened over the last 12 months, because that was like basically the birth of Headsauce as most people know it. And I like, you know, I came up with like a little motto, which was like back to basics. And that's kind of like the way that I'm going forward in 2023. And I think, you know, over the year with the content creation thing, I experimented with many different types of content. I started with like, you know, the 1.5 Solana challenge stuff. Then the market was very bullish. So a lot of the content was around the hot new projects that were coming up. And then lately I got into sort of more storytelling and more like the one-of-one art scene. And I think, you know, for me moving into 2023, it's really just about creating like interesting, fun content that people want to watch, right? And not trying to overcomplicate it, not trying to be like super, you know, intelligent or whatever, just making like interesting things that people want to watch. And some of that will be about like helping people to make money in the bear market, because that's what a lot of people are still interested in. And some of it's just going to be about like, what are the interesting things that are happening in Solana, and maybe even, you know, start branching out to other chains. Now with Decod3rs moving over to ETH and Utes moving over to Polygon, you know, my PFP's a Ute, so I'm like, do I have to cover Polygon now? Like, am I supposed to make, you know? So it might be opening up the content to a different, maybe just NFTs as opposed to just doing Solana only. But really, the motto for me is back to basic: interesting content, good storytelling, and just making it fun, man. Like just trying to be like fun. Like, you'll see some of the videos that are coming out on my channel like over the next few weeks, and I'm just trying to have like a little bit more fun with it. You know, I'm not trying to overthink it. I'm not trying to be too clever. Just something that's entertaining that people want to watch. And I think that's probably the best thing to do in this market, right? Because, you know, keep it lighthearted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like it's in content creation, there is like two verticals where you can be an entertainer and like educational content, right? So yeah, like what you're doing right now is like you're sharing your journey and what you have done yourself, right? And now you want to focus on like more entertaining part, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think YouTube is a little bit slept on in the crypto. Well, not crypto. Crypto, it's big, but in the NFT community, people don't really.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, Twitter's the main hub, right? Like everyone knows that everything happens on Twitter. But video is the highest quality content you can, like, it's not even like debatable, right? So TikTok, Instagram, well, you know, everybody's leaning into video because it's the highest form of content. Like, you know, watching someone talk and seeing their actions and seeing their face, it doesn't get better than that. A tweet is not better than that. A Spaces is not better than that. I will argue that, you know, to the day I die, right? So it's only a matter of time before YouTube's already doing it, sorry, Twitter leans into video harder, right? Because that's where, you know, the engagement really is, right? And also from an AdSense, video is the most profitable AdSense model that they have. Like, you know, video rolls are more profitable than any other ad, like banners or whatever. So everything is moving towards video, right? So for me, it just makes sense to keep creating content on YouTube, keep getting better, keep perfecting my art, and then slowly start migrating some of that content over to Twitter, because that's going to be, you know, that's going to be a massive feature of Twitter, you know, over the next, I don't know, 3-6 months. Elon said it, everyone's saying it. So just having that, you know, experience, right, is going to put anybody that's a video creator at a massive advantage, I think.
Yeah, like I think you're right. And plus, like we saw that with like TikTok and like explosion and growth like everywhere, where like everyone became like a short content creators, right? And do you have a strategy about that too, like about like going into short YouTube and even on TikTok?
It's a great question. And yes, I think that like part of the plan, which I didn't mention, was also, and that's actually a very important thing. I think that the meta is actually more short form video, right? So right now, a lot of the stuff that I do is long form video on YouTube. It's still good because there's a lot of, it's very similar skill, but not exactly the same. But part of like my yearly plan for next year is trying to invest more into like short form content, because that's kind of like where it's at, right? With the TikToks and Twitter. When video comes out, you imagine like short form will probably do pretty well. I know they're going to do long form as well, but also YouTube's moving towards monetizing shorts like next year as well. So obviously they're really trying to push that. And that has to be something that I like have to lean into more. I've dabbled with it a little bit. I've tried to like repurpose my long content into short content. That's like one strategy that I've sort of like thought about, but I think I need to be like more intentional with it. Like when I create a video, initially think like, okay, this part will be the short part, and try and like make it scripted that way so that I can actually you know, but it's you know, attention spans are shrinking, unfortunately, like every single year. So the videos are getting shorter because people just can't watch 10, 12, 15-minute videos anymore. There will always be some people that like that content, but it would just be silly to not, like, when you're already creating video content, to try and expand and do it all. So yeah, definitely a plan for me moving forward.
That's exactly the same strategy, like for me, for Decod3rs. Like that's the pipeline I have in my head is exactly what we are doing right now, like doing a live, then make it like an edited version of the live to have a long format, split it like the best segment into like shorts, and have the shorts driving content back to the long format on like TikTok and Reels and stuff. But yeah, it's taking time. Like it's taking way more time that I was expecting. But honestly, it's fun. Like to start like scripting and making the video editing and stuff. It's so much fun. That's why I like to. It's cool.
You have to enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it,
you can't.
You'll stop. And I've seen a lot of content creators come up in the time that I've been making content on YouTube, almost 2 years now, because I started the channel 1 year before I started doing the NFT stuff. And many of them burn out and whatever because they just don't enjoy the process and it feels like work to them. And eventually, like if it feels like work and you're not making money from it or whatever, there's only so much time. But yeah, people don't realize how much work goes into like a video, like one single video. It's insane. Like
exactly.
You can write a tweet in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. But like one video, like from start to finish may take like 20, 30, like, literally 30 hours sometimes between editing, scripting, filming, researching, all this sort of stuff. Which is insane. Like when you think about it's like,
it's cool, like to like even like when we're talking about like splitting and thinking about short format video, you have to think about that in your script to make it like like valuable for like your viewers and like your community. It have to be rethink like at the on the whiteboard almost, and that's cool because you can see everything unfolding at the end of the video. Like when you see like the end panel, that was a nice video. I wrote that. Didn't happen to me yet, but like that I can imagine.
They call it like snackable content. Like the shorts are like the little like snacks that you eat, and then the idea is like, you have a couple of those and you want to then, go and see the full thing, like the full meal, which would be the long form video, right? And the shorts are a good way to bring people over to that long form video. But in order to do that, you need to have a lot of short content because someone needs to see you multiple times and think that you're interesting before then they move over to like watch a long video. You need to build that trust with them, right? And that can take, I don't know, 10, 12, 20, 30 times that they see your content. So
exactly.
I sometimes find the shorts harder than if I have to do an original short, I think the muscle is not there yet for me. So I don't know how to compress something into just 1 minute. I like to take my time to tell a story, and sometimes do it in 60 seconds. I'm like,
it's a talent.
What do I say? How do I like make this into like one thing? But it doesn't. You have to just be really really quick and vague with it, right?
Exactly. Like same thing for me, like just starting like YouTube videos and speaking in front of a camera. It's really not natural for me. That's why also like I put the glasses and stuff, which is like, it's set up like a character for me, or it's protecting like myself and stuff. Even if like I tweet my pictures on Twitter when we all doxed Frank movement stuff. Basically it's kind of useless in terms of security, etc. But it's putting a uniform which I switch my mind and I have not another personality, but like something to take some distances from the camera and like it's weird, like it's weird, but I know that I'm in my uniform of talking to the public via the camera, and it's a completely interesting mindset to see yourself evolving into that, right? Because like, do I like to talk to 100,000 people at the same time? I don't know that yet, but like it's a form of communication that I wanted to experiment after my like Web2 careers and stuff. And it's intellectually challenging, and it's psychologically too, and that's why it's interesting to dig into that the content creation movement. Because like for me, it's not natural to film myself, take a selfie, like take a picture of my food. Like it's interesting to not doing that, but putting myself out there on YouTube like every week. It's like, again, it's like psychologically interesting.
It's not natural for it wasn't natural for me. I don't think it's natural for many people to to sit in a room by themselves with a camera in front of them and start like, hey guys, and like start
exactly
at the camera. But it does get easier the more you do it. And I think it's really interesting that you said you have like this like uniform that you put on, because it's almost like an athlete when they're going to go play football or basketball, whatever. Like they put the uniform on and then it's like, boom, go time, like in the zone, and it's like a signal to you that it's like, let's get it right. Now I'm ready. Now I'm like in that mode.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of like that idea, you know, like to just be like, this is my uniform, put the glasses on, and then I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to think about it. I hadn't thought about it like that, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But that's why, like, for me, it was also like important, like, to have a dedicated room to that, and like the whole universe, like the background, the light, etc. Because I know when I entering this office / studio space, it's something different that me kind of like, but while staying authentic to myself. When I'm in my kitchen, for example, it's really tricky. Like, I'm still exploring that because just the beginning of it, but like it's fascinating. And I'm always wondering like how like big celebrities or even like famous YouTubers are saying themselves acting, or if they are completely switched and like their characters is 100% of who they are in their daily life, or they have also these personas too. It's psychologically interesting.
I think you would find a mix. Like, I think that you would find, you know, there's those like vlogging style YouTubers that maybe they're more similar to what you see, but then you have like Mr. Beast, and he's like really like screaming in the videos and stuff. And probably, you know, I would imagine he's probably like not really like that in his normal life, but it's all about just, you know, I think it's like, if someone comes to watch the video, you know, you need to give them something. And you know, one thing that I try and work on is like energy, you know, bring energy. Because when I first started making videos, I would like sit there and I would just kind of talk, and it would be like, hello guys. And then I would watch it back and I'm like, bro, I wouldn't even want to watch this guy. Even though it's me, I'm like, I can't even watch this. Like, it's so boring. And I'm like, if someone comes to click on your video, right, it's like, you want to like provide energy, right? And maybe that's more energetic than what you are in your normal life. Maybe not, but like, you know, it's kind of like a respect thing for someone that's like, if you come to watch a video, I want to like put in the effort. I want to like, that's why the video takes ages to like make, and I want to bring as much energy and effort as possible, because you know, that makes it exciting. And they're the videos that I like to watch when people are like really into what they're talking about. But yeah, it's such an interesting thing, man. I could talk about it forever and ever and ever. But one thing I think is like, when you start like crossing that boundary, right, and you start putting yourself out there, it's so interesting to see what happens. You know, when you start uploading videos on YouTube, or when you start tweeting more, or whatever, when you start writing a newsletter, people just reach out to you randomly, like how you reached out to me, and you just meet these interesting people that have very similar interests to you, and then, you know, it's just such an interesting way to like find like-minded people. You know, it's fascinating to me.
And do you think it's like something specific to Web3, like reaching out to people, and like the fact that even with the community, like the PFP community we have behind like every Twitter profile, right? It creates a sense of like, I'm part of this community because we have the same collection as a PFP. So let me reach it to this bro, and then we're gonna do something together right away, because again, we have a Decod, a Youth, or Degen App Academy, whatever, right? It's completely different than trading shitcoins with like, again, like, okay, like you are here 100% for the financial gain, and you go from one shitcoin to another shitcoin to whatever, and you don't have this community aspect of it, which is like vital for NFTs.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy.
I had a experience with both creating content outside of NFTs and also trading crypto and shitcoins, like, you know, prior to the NFT pump. And for the crypto side of things, there's definitely communities and things that you can join. But my personal experience was, I would just go on Reddit and be in subreddits, and that's not it's not a very personal kind of thing. It's just like someone will post, and it's sort of like you're sort of like an observer. And so I never really had a community when I was trading Bitcoin and Ethereum. I just sort of did it solo, and there was like a couple of guys in my office that liked it. And the same kind of thing with the YouTube thing. Like when I was creating content outside of NFTs, it was a lot harder to find people that were in the same kind of space as me, like the same content that I was making, and like to reach out to them is really difficult as well. But the NFT thing is like, it's all built around communities. So like you said, you know, like you have a PFP that's a Decod, and you know, it's almost like you went to the same school as someone or something like that. You have that like introduction there, right? And it makes it a lot more, I believe, a lot more like easier to connect with people, and people are more comfortable to reach out because you sort of know the different communities and what they stand for. And, you know, Decod3rs obviously has a really good reputation, and you know, there's a couple other ones out there. So it does actually make it a lot more of a closer space. And that was one of the things that I loved when I joined it. I was like on Twitter and whatever, and I was like, people are so nice to each other. You know, people are just like really nice and chatting and hanging out. It's like everyone's kind of like friends. And I know there's drama, and there's always drama, but generally it's like a pretty solid community. Yeah, like think about the Decod3rs community, like how many cool things that they've done. I even saw like over Christmas they were raising money for kids, and like there's just like a lot of cool stuff that happens that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's really nice, you know?
I mean, like really cool. Like I know, like for me, like European as French, like for me, the communities before like the Web3 stuff, it was not really like something per se. Like again, like we are like a nation, French, etc. And the community that didn't really understand that, and like the fact that you can be friends with like stranger on internet. It's madness. It's crazy. Like, but it was also crazy when you're gonna tell, like, for example, you take Uber and you can think and tell yourself, okay, so 10 years ago it would be madness to say I'm going to jump into a car of someone I don't know. I don't know, and it will drive me to my my destination. It's like, and then you can take your kids and you put into the Uber car and it will drive away with your kids. Like, how is that possible? And the same feeling can apply to like the Web3 communities again, because okay, so we are all Dejans together. We are buying like 10K PFP JPEGs on internet, and we're vibing. How is that possible?
And you know what's cool about it though? Like, I totally agree with you. And even like Airbnb, for example, like letting someone stay at your house or going to stay, you know, it's like a truly madness. But that's the power of the internet that sort of connected people in this way that wasn't possible before. And the whole thing with the Web3 is like, one of the interesting things about it, and whether, you know, it doesn't happen always, is like people are here because they believe it's going to change their lives, right? They believe that, you know, either they're going to make like a bag and then they're going to be able to have like money to retire, or they believe that like, you know, they're going to build a business or whatever. And that, you know, whether that happens, you know, not everyone's going to succeed. That is like kind of a beautiful thing when you think about it, right? Like all these people have come here because they're like, I want to change my life, right? Either I want to make money flipping, I want to build a business, I want to build a brand, whatever, or I just want to like meet cool people. And I think that's like one of the reasons why it's kind of addictive, because there's always this undercurrent of like, you know, if you're in the right project at the right time, like it could literally change your life. You know, if you bought Decod3rs and sold at the top, you know, like, or whatever, like, you know, Bored Ape or any, you know, it could change your life. And that is so freaking cool. And like, what other community could you be a part of where that could like happen to you, right? And maybe it's not like, you know, maybe it's a, you know, $10,000, $20,000, and that could like actually like, you know, take off your student debt or whatever it is, right?
100%. It's even interesting, like also like to think about the founder's mindset when you have a successful project. Okay, so let's take Frank example, and even the whole team, like saying, okay, so we started like the project 1 year ago. It was 2 SOL mint, 3 SOL, 2 SOL, 3 SOL mint. Now it's like 500 SOL. People can sell for like 5K and up to 30K 8 months ago. It can be a down payment for a house, like, and it started with like just $300. So like, what kind of pressure do you put to yourself when you say, okay, I have to keep grinding and keep working because people want to buy the next house in 2025, whatever, and let's go, right? Like the pressure is like crazy. And everyone, like for like famous YouTuber, content creators and YouTubers, like always like pushing the new video when you are like financially it's fine for the rest of your life, and for the your grandkids' life. It's dumb. You keep grinding because you have a community behind you. It's like, yeah, like I have a hard time like putting my hand around that, because like, yeah, what's the process? How do you think every day, right? It's interesting to, yeah,
like,
that's true.
There's the thing where it's like, yeah, you know, for Frank, you're right. He gets a lot of energy. He said it publicly because he feeds off that positivity when people are like, I sold my Decod and I paid for my mom's medical bills because she was in hospital, or I bought a house, or I bought my dad a car, or whatever it is. And that's the energy that he feeds off, right? Like, you know, among other things. For me personally, obviously I'm not like changing people's lives in that way.
Not yet.
But not yet. Yeah, exactly. But there's something inside of me that I love, and I also, you know, hate sometimes. It's that for me, like, I have a creative fulfillment that needs to be fulfilled, and the best way that happens is when I publish a video. It's like, it's almost like I'm a drug addict, and I'm like, I get like this itch, and then when I publish the video, I'm like, for like one day, and then I'm like, what's the next one? And then I feel so good like putting a video out there. I don't know what it is. It's just the way that my brain is wired. And I think a lot of content creators, like, I think Mr. Beast is like that. He's like, he doesn't need the money. He could just take the money and just live the rest of his life. But he's like, I want to make the best videos ever. And that's his goal. And I'm not like him, but I have a very similar vibe in the sense that it's like, from a creative perspective, I'm a creative person, and creating videos and content is like really fulfilling for me because there's so many different things that goes into it, from filming, editing, scripting, you know, doing all these different things. It just hits every like creative bone in my body. And I'm like somewhat addicted to it. That's why I like, you know, keep making videos every single week. That's when, you know, 200 people watch sometimes. I'm like, normal people would probably quit. But I can't help it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like that's really right. Like the creative aspect of it, and yeah, I guess we get dopamine too, right? Because you have people watching you live and liking your content and stuff. So yeah, like we get hit by that too, I guess. That's interesting. Yeah,
the feedback loop is quick, you know. Whereas, you know, as a software developer, right? Like, you maybe build something for weeks, months, years, or whatever. But being able to create something in a week or 2 weeks, think about it, build it, ship it, and then get feedback in a week is amazing. Like, it is a dopamine thing, like you said. It happens so quickly, and it's like very characteristic, because I'm a product guy, right? I'm a product manager. I work with engineers, I'm a designer, whatever.
Yes.
So I know that thing of building software, it takes time to get feedback. But this is like one thing that I can control like almost 100% myself, and get feedback every week and just go again. And that is addictive for sure. Yeah.
And like, as you mentioned, like, so you're working, like, you have a Web2 life outside of like the Web3 lifestyle. What's your process? Like, how do you optimize your video content creation? Because as you said at the beginning, like, it takes time. So you spend like, 40 hours a week working, then another 20 hours per week, like producing a video. That's basically your workflow.
Yeah. So pretty much, I work full time. So I do, you know, 40, 50 hours a week. And then when I first started making videos, I was a lot more slow at everything that I did, right? Because I was learning a lot of just like technical things about the camera and the audio and all that. And I could only get a video out like every 2 weeks, right? Like, that was my cadence. It took me 2 weeks, and then I could, you know, publish something. And I did that for like a pretty long time, like 6 months or whatever. And then I got to the point where I was comfortable enough, like, editing the videos, where I was like, I can because I sort of did like a breakdown. I'm like, where is all my time going? Like, what? How come I know how long it takes me to make a video? I literally bought like time tracking software, and I would track everything that I did, and for like multiple videos. And I figured out that the biggest sink of my time was editing the videos myself. So on average, I would spend 10, sometimes 15 hours editing the video. So for me, that was like a light bulb moment. I was like, I need to outsource the editing of this video, because that's like the biggest time sink. So now I use an editor, a guy called JC, and he helps me out with editing most of my videos. Now I'm on holidays. I like to do some myself as well, just to keep the skill. But the biggest hack for me was like outsourcing the editing. So like more than half the process was gone. The other stuff that's left is the filming and the script writing and researching. And the
Mm-hmm.
way that I try and get around that is to have multiple stories going at any one time. So I'm not just trying to start a new story or a new video every single week. So I use Notion and I have a bunch of like ideas. And what I'm doing is like usually working on 2 or 3 different videos at any one time. So as I'm seeing things on Twitter, as I'm thinking about things, I'm just adding notes into the Notion.
Okay.
Sometimes it's tweets, sometimes it's clips, sometimes it's inspiration. And then by the time I have to like write the video, I have like basically most of the things that I want to say. And that's like really helped quite a lot. Because what I would do initially was sort of, okay, I need a video for next week and start from scratch, start trying to think about ideas, start trying to script it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's like a couple of things there. Outsource where you can, where it makes sense. And then also always be working on multiple things at once, right? So that you're not having to start from scratch. So I'm just always collecting stuff from everywhere, from Twitter, from podcasts, whatever. And then, you know, when I need to do something, like right now, I have a video that's ready to go out like this week. I have another one that I've been like filming over the last couple of weeks that should go out the week after. And I have a couple other ideas that like I've sort of got a sort of rough idea of. But yeah, so there's that. And then basically I'm just trying to fit it in around my work, right? So it's early morning. It's like last night, for example, I was up till about midnight editing this last video. Because like I said, I like, you know, in the holidays when I'm not at work, I like to just keep fresh with the editing and things like that. I don't always want to like lose that skill. So yeah, just like, you know, when my wife goes to bed, I'm just like, I'm going to stay up a bit and just edit. So just spend 4 hours, just boom, 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 just, you know, here, just like editing it and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
I try and just take like a couple days a week where I either go early in the morning or late at night and bang it out that way. But it's tough. I would love to be just full time, you know, and just do it, but it's not really financially viable to do it the way that I want to do it anyway. Like if I was taking, in the bull market, I easily could have lived off content creation by taking sponsorships because it was so like, you know, I had like so many people reaching out to me and you can make good money that way, but it was a little bit hard for me to determine whether the projects were good or not. And then there was like a lot of behavior, which was, you know, people were rugging and stuff. So I never found a good way to make that work. And maybe in the future it will work. But for now, I'm just like, you know what? I have my Web2 job that covers all my expenses, good salary and stuff. And I don't need to think about monetizing the content in any way yet. And it can allow me to just be experimental and try new things without having the pressure of being like, I need to make X amount of dollars on every video or whatever it is.
That's interesting. And like, that's definitely a paradigm, that's a paradox that I want to solve too, because again, like the goal of this channel is to share the revenue with the community, right? So again, like we will take like 20% of like a specific video to allocate to one holders and like 10% of the channel revenue to like all of the thumbnail winner, like the people owning the videos. And like, so we'll need to have like a cash flow machine at some point to make it like the project sustainable and making sense. And from like my initial thought about that is like to not take any project that have not minted out yet, or like valuable or even like better partnership with like Ledger, like something like, you know, you have affiliate marketing links and then you redistribute that revenue too. But it's hard too because like then FTX happened, right? So you have the biggest exchange, like the second biggest exchange on the market that goes bankrupt because there were like something shady. I don't know if I can say that in life, but whatever. And then like all of the content creators / influencers get backlash because they promoted like the platform, right? So do you see also paradigm like a paradox between like influencers and like content creators where the line is like thin and like not really ethical? Like, what's your stand on that?
I don't have a problem with people taking sponsorships, but I have a problem with people taking undisclosed sponsorships where you don't know it's a sponsorship, or maybe Yeah, or maybe they just have because in YouTube you can say this is a paid video and they just tick the box, but you don't know. Say they talk about 5 projects, you don't know which one is the paid one. They don't say these people are like sponsoring the video or anything like that. So I don't have a problem with sponsorships. I just think like obviously legally they should be disclosed. But the problem is that, you know, it's difficult to know what is the right project to like feature because like in the bull market, for example, I would have like dozens of projects reaching out to me and probably every other YouTuber. And they would say, we want you, and it still happens now, but less. How much is it for a video? Like they just DM me. How much does it cost for a video, right? And you could say $1,000 for a feature or whatever. And they would be like, sure, because they make so much money on the mint, or 2,000, I don't know. But people then, the problem is it's a financial thing, right? So there's all this thing around when people are spending their money on things. Like if it was a book or like a, you know, supplement or whatever, I don't know. And it's like, you know, you buy that, the book is good, whatever. But when people are investing money, it starts to get a little bit more complicated because you're like, by you promoting the thing, you're sort of selling it that it's going to do well, and that's what you want people to think. That's why you want them to buy it, or the company does. And then if they lose money, they're going to come back at you and be like, hey bro, why did you know, this was a rug. Like, you know, it happened with like so many projects, they rugged, right? And then they're like, I bought it because I watched your video, right? And that's the thing that always was really hard to me. So that's why I just like flat out was like, no. But there are some opportunities with like maybe not projects, or like at least new projects, but like if you could get Ledger, and I even think the people that featured FTX, like I don't think you can blame them for, because how the fuck would anyone know that FTX, you know, like of all the product placements, that would have been like one of the best ones I would have thought to get. Because they're like a reputable business. They sponsored so many different things. I think it's quite harsh if someone comes back to someone and says, hey, you know, because I know many content. I know Jersey, for example, was sponsored by FTX for a while. And I can't blame him for that, because like how, you know, they're not going to give him the financials of the, like, you know, even investors didn't know what was happening. Like Sequoia Capital and stuff were like, you know, they didn't even know. So how could you expect like an influencer to know? But I guess to tie it up, it's hard in crypto and Web3 and NFTs because there are so many rugs and so many scams. So I haven't figured it out completely. I think that the no-brainer is go with companies that are building like products like Ledger and stuff like that, but they don't want to you know, they're not doing a lot of sponsorship deals, especially with small channels. So they're kind of hard to get. But if you can determine that a project is legit, maybe they already have investment from someone, like something like a Decod3rs, for example. If they came to you pre-mint and said, hey, you know, we want you to talk about it. We have this history. This is who we are. We're doxed. We worked for this. You know, I think that's kind of cool because, you know, like, okay, these are reputable, but there's not many of those projects, you know, that like, that's the hard thing. The projects that come to you and want to sponsor you are the ones that often maybe, are just looking to make quick money. And that's why they're happy to pay a bunch of influencers to plug them, because they're too lazy to build a brand on their own in some cases. So it's difficult. It's tricky. I haven't figured it out, which is why I don't do it. But you know, there could be multiple revenue streams in terms of sponsorships will always be the biggest, because that's just like where a lot of the money is. There's the AdSense revenue, which will be smaller unless you can build the channel big. And then there could be other things that you could do. Like I experimented with Patreon for a while, and that's kind of like an interesting way to sort of let your community contribute. Ultimately, I kind of pulled the plug on it because the market was turning pretty bad. And I was like, I just don't think it's fair for people to be paying for, you know, I don't think people want to be paying for stuff like when the market is so bad, like, you know, so I kind of ended that. But that worked pretty well, you know, for a lot of other, like Jersey and Ragnar, they have like pretty you know, Patreons where they their community can support them if they want. But I don't think there's one answer. I think you can do sponsorships, but you just have to be highly selective about who you choose, and just do a lot of research as much as possible before. Like you said, maybe projects that are already live could be one thing that you could do, that have sort of proved that they have something or are fully doxed, or, you know, but even that's not always the best thing, right?
It doesn't guarantee that the floor price will 10x in the next Monday, right? So and then you have your community coming back at you and saying, "Oh yeah, like it didn't pump. Like what happened?" But I think it's like there is like, no, I don't like this word, but like educating the audience, or like saying establish like rules of like relationship between audience and content creators, that it's hard to define when you're getting like bigger and bigger, because obviously you can control like 100,000 people or 1 million subscribers and have the same behavior, because it's a mass, like it's not like it's way too much. But yeah, like you're still like responsible for your own investment, right? And that's also this relationship between content creator and the audience again, and the subscribers, that is also interesting. But yeah, or like with Web3 content creation, the fact that I want to attach an NFT collection to this channel to then like share like the revenue, etc., that will help like the team and like me and like the rest of the team to like build a sustainable business, because then we have a Web3 model and like search for sustainability with like Web3 technology that will basically replace like YouTube Red, Patreon donation, and you still have access to like Web3 features, that private group, and like even like a Web3 newsletter, or like, you know, content creator tools like that could be interesting. But you basically kickstart your YouTube channel with your NFT collection. That will be part of the meta for the Decod3rs. Can't wait to launch that.
Another way. That's another way to do it for sure, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how it unfolds in 2023. But yeah, man, like it's already 50 minutes. That was a nice discussion, man. That's nice live. Maybe we should like wrap it up like around that time, I guess. Do you have anything to add, like to tell to the audience, or like anything you want to add? Any alpha about your next video, maybe?
I'm going to be looking at some interesting things. Like I sort of alluded to it before, but one of the themes that I want to try and explore is like how to make money in the bear market without just alternative ways to make money in the bear market, doing some personal experiments and just sharing what I find. So I think that could be like a pretty fun content series if there's enough in that. So stay tuned. There'll be something coming out, not this week, but maybe next week. And just, like I said, having fun. But I think for anyone that's trying to, you know, get into content creation or whatever, maybe it's a little bit difficult now because you think there's not so many people around. But I think that bear markets are really here to build things, right? And it's a bit of a cliche, but it really does make sense. Like use this time now when it's quieter to build, get good at your craft, try new things, you know, experiment when there's not that many people watching. And then you'll find yourself, you know, if you're making videos, it might take 20, 30, 40, 50 videos before you find what you're good at, but it will happen. Or tweets. Maybe you're making threads every single week. Maybe it takes 6 months. Use this time while it's quiet to do that. And then when things pick up again, you know, you're going to be in a good place, right? Like you're going to have all this time that you've put in. You're going to feel confident, you know, because that's where confidence comes from. It's from that repetition of doing things over and over and over and over again. You know, like you and me and whatever, and all these other people that we're on video. I was like so nervous to be on a video the first time, but now after doing it for like, you know, basically 2 years and 85 videos or whatever, I'm going to publish 85 this week. Like,
nice.
I don't feel that way. And the only reason is because I just did it over and over and over again. Same when you go to the gym. So bear markets are for building. Don't feel scared. You know, don't feel like it's not worth it. Use the time wisely because it's a gift, basically. You know, like if you would have told me at this time last year that Solana would go back to $10, you know, and I could buy Solana at $10 and I could build my platform, you know, for a year or whatever, I would have like jumped at that opportunity, right? And we're here now. There's opportunity for everyone that wants it. It's just you have to put in the work. So yeah, use the time wisely.
Exactly. You have to put in the work, man. That's a good sentence to wrap it up.
Nice.
We can finish on that.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, let's run it back. We can do a part 2, you know, in a couple months and see like where the market has gone and how you guys have been building and yeah, I'd love to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again, Headsauce. And yeah, I will see you around.
Nice one. Thank you guys. See you later.
See you, man. Cheers.